We'll go to your number 2 linebacker, Ike, and that is Nakobe Dean from Georgia, 5'11", 229. Reminds me a little bit of when Devin Bush was coming out of Michigan in terms of being a little bit undersized. Definitely benefited from his Georgia teammates. They won the national title. There's going to be several other defensive players drafted in the first round of the 2022 draft. But this was a player who consistently was first to the football for the Georgia Bulldogs this past season. And I want to mention one other thing, too, that is going to be overlooked, because a lot of times when we watch tape, we watch from this past season. He is also a very tough player because he played with a torn labrum in his shoulder for the final month of the 2020 season. I know he's a little bit undersized, but if you can get Nakobe Dean some help up front, if you've got some hosses up front that can control the line of scrimmage, Dean is very, very good at getting to the football. I think he's going to have great success in the league so long as that he has a good defensive line, guys that can control the line of scrimmage so he can diagnose and make plays at the NFL level.
He's your Ray Lewis style of play. You put a D tackle in front of him, you let him run through the A's and B gaps, it's going to be hell on the offense. There's a few things you can't coach, and this is what Nakobe Dean has. He has great instincts and he has good hand power. When he doesn't have so you can't block him. You had offensive linemen trying to block him. You had tight ends trying to block him. You had running backs coming out of the backfield trying to block him. And I don't know what he have in his hands. So God didn't give him the height. He gave him hand power. And with that hand power, he was able to run through people and get to the tackle ASAP. But his lateral movement kind of impressed me, Mark. When I saw him go from sideline to sideline, and he reminds me of a Sam Mills. For all my listeners and our listeners who don't know who Sam Mills was, he was an undersized inside linebackers that played with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints at 5'11". But that didn't mean nothing. 5'11" only meant it was 5'11", but they played 6'5", 6'6" on the field. And this is exactly what Nakobe Dean did. Even though he had some first-round talent in front of him, when you want to talk about the heart and the soul for the Georgia defense, he was the heart and the soul. When you want to talk about being a thumper and setting the tone, he was the thumper for the Georgia defense. So regardless of his undersized, he's able to do other things. He's able to have good instincts, get off of blocks, redirect, and set the tempo on any game.
Butkus Award winner this past season, obviously first team AP All-American. Ike, you were at the national championship game. Mm-hmm. And to me, Dean's leadership was on full display because there was a point in that game in the second quarter. Yeah, where he chewed out a teammate, Channing Tindall, someone we'll also talk about here on today's show. But then on the next play, it inspired Tindall to make a play, and it prevented an Alabama score. You were physically there. Did you see this altercation while you were watching when you were at the national title game?
It wasn't an altercation, Mark. This is the biggest game of our career at this point in time. Hey, bro, I don't need those slip-ups. You're better than that. I need you. That's in my mind, when you hold yourself accountable and your teammates accountable, and they love and they trust and they respect you and they know you have their best interest, that's the kind of effect you have on a person. So when Nakobe Dean told his teammate, hey, bro, I know you slipped up. You already know what's going on. I don't need this no more. That's your mulligan. We can't have this in the red zone because we're trying to get something on our finger, which is a ring, and we can't have any mess-ups. And the fact that his teammate understood, didn't move his shoulders, didn't push him off of him, he looked him dead in his eye and told Nakobe Dean, I got you, said a lot about the respect level of Nakobe Dean, which you need at that inside linebacker position. Again, we talked about this early on the show. The inside linebacker position, you have to be an alpha, and that's clearly the point with Nakobe Dean. He's definitely is an alpha, not only on the team that won a national championship, but a team that has some dogs just as well as him. By the way, there are the Georgia Bulldogs.
Ike, I like how you explained that in like the PG version of what probably happened. I would love to get the mic'd up version of what actually happened on the field.
Yeah, we can't do that on our show. We can do that like somewhere else.
I'll say this too.
One of a kind cigar.
I love it, Ike. And if anyone's curious about Ike's cigar line, we always leave his Instagram information in the show notes. So check out the one of a kind cigar line, part of Howard G Cigars. I also saw Dean shed tacklers to get the ball carriers. He's good in space. He's good at pass coverage too. So again, I think he'll benefit from some studs up front, having a good defensive line at the NFL level. But even despite the fact that he is undersized, shedding blocks didn't seem to be a problem for Dean at the collegiate level.